Welcome to episode 33 of the podcast Hot Mess to Great Success. I'm Dr. Jennifer Gardella, and I created this podcast for anybody that needs a little bit of private inspiration. I know that most of the time we don't want to shout our problems at the rooftops. We don't want to sit in support groups or even call a hotline. We certainly don't want to talk to people at work or join a mastermind. Sometimes I've decided that just knowing someone is working through similar issues can help to solve the problem. At least it makes you feel better. Don't forget, everything that I talk about today is located in the show notes at hotmesstogreatsuccess.com. This episode is sponsored by Your Social Media Hour. It is a marketing program teaching you everything you need to know about digital marketing for your business. Head on over to yoursocialmediahour.com for more info. Let's get on with today's episode. So today I'm pulling up my notes, three very important topics that are timely for the fall and also, well, things that I've been struggling with. The first is maybe you don't actually want to solve the problem. Ouch. The second topic, near and dear to my heart, how to rock social media when you're at a conference. And lastly, the idea of post-separation abuse and how it's bad for your employees. So this is a little bit for victims and survivors who are escaping, but also for business owners, CEOs, and leadership teams to understand how to help victims and survivors during that critical time. So let's get on with it. One thing I have learned about the world today is that there are a lot of people that enjoy complaining and don't actually want to solve a problem. So as I've gone through my own healing journey, I have learned the concept that people stay stuck because it feels safe, and growing is scary. Doing new things is scary. Even in the world of domestic violence, right? Abusers, they complain about the world that they live in, all the chaos, but it's what they know from their childhood. Most of the time, when we talk about how this shows up in our personal and professional lives, we have been offered a solution. We probably know what the solution is. It's usually right in front of us, but we instead procrastinate. Oh, that's not going to work. We go through endless cycles of research. That is me. We go to self-help books. I hoard them. You can see on my bookshelves. And we buy courses that go nowhere, that don't offer support, and that really don't fix our problem, even if we even finish them. A lot of times also we sit with procrastination that shows up with, oh, I'm just going to wait till my website is done. Then I'll start on social media. Or I'm just going to lose 5 pounds. Then I'll get new headshots done. Or I'll start in September when the new school year starts. Or, oh, look at that. It's the end of the year. I'll start in January. I have so much to do for the holidays. Come on, we've all used these excuses. I see this with large and small business owners all of the time. And I've come to the decision that they really just don't want to make change. There seems to be some commonality, there seems to be some comfort in complaining and having the problem. So, the solution and how I've gotten through this is with radical honesty with myself. You have to admit and listen to yourself and say, oh my gosh, I've been complaining about this for a really long time. And then figure out where the comfort in that problem is for you. So, for instance, I had this for a long time with the Gardella group marketing. I know that sounds completely psycho, right? Because I'm just making sure my mic is on. Because we do digital marketing. I love social media. I love teaching social media. I love creating it. I even love creating images. I was not doing this for my own business. My business was the cobbler's kid that has no shoes. And it turns out that I was really scared of putting my own expertise out there. Who's going to see it? Who's going to like it? What are they going to think? Who's going to comment on it? This comes from years of criticism from a variety of people in my life that just think that they have the right and the ability to tear down what I put up. I don't do social media blandly. I just don't, you just don't sound like the same old out there. I have a lot to say, and there's a lot of garbage going on in the world, especially with digital marketing. And so I knew that if I started to talk about how we all need to stop posting selfies, or you need to really gear your content towards your ideal clients, that was going to ruffle some feathers. I also, really stepped into a fact that my team that's behind me that does some of the content creation for my clients is brilliant. So I couldn't even use that resource because I was so stuck in this cycle. So if you have the resources around you and you're not acting to solve your problem, there's a problem there. So when you really need to work on solving this, I usually say go to a journal. Honestly, you can open up a Word doc and just start typing. But what have you done to solve it? So, and also, really, what's the problem? What's the hiccup in your system? A lot I just explained to you, mine was all wrapped up in a whole bunch of things. Oh, and I even forgot to mention it was wrapped up in this idea of, well, I have to pay people to do it for me, and I don't want to pay people. I'm brilliant at it. Let me tell you, people, I really went to hell and back with this. More than likely, if you have one of these issues, your ego is in the way. So let's go to that social media issue. So you may run a business, you may run a department in a large corporation, you may be in marketing or at whatever, and you have been in charge of the digital marketing, but as you grow and your department expands, your role expands, you know that someone else is going to have to take over your baby. That's one of the reasons why it was so hard for me. Will they do a better job? Honestly, we get to a point where we hope we can train people really well to do as good of a job, if not better, than we can. And that's where I've gotten to. I've actually hired a whole separate team to start to do the marketing. You're also scared, and this is where I'm sitting right now. You're scared of who you will become when you fix that problem. So if it is a business that's going to grow, your position as the business owner will change. And maybe you don't even know what that's going to look like. So familiar for you is being stuck because your future self is out there when the marketing takes off. And your future self is going to have to run a bigger organization. So your role is going to have to change. And for a lot of people, that is really scary. So the familiar is normal. Complaining is normal. It keeps us stuck, but that should be scary to you in and of itself. So life doesn't have to get complicated if you have really good guidance as you go through this process. So take a deep breath, figure out what it is that you need to change, and next figure out why you're stuck. And again, remember, we aren't saying that you need to declare this on social media. Have a very honest conversation with yourself. Journal, talk to yourself. Obviously, we don't want you walking around talking to yourself, but in private settings, talk to yourself and see, okay, why am I staying stuck in this problem? What do I get out of complaining about it and staying small? And then what's the worst case scenario? So the worst case scenario is that you start to market your business and your business takes off and now you have more money and now you have more work to do. So now you need a team. That is a phenomenal problem to have. No, you might not know how to handle it. That's okay. That's a great next problem to try to solve on your own. So remember, if you are staying stuck in a problem, if you notice that your business or your colleagues are staying stuck in a problem, there's a comfort level there that you're enjoying, and we need to get you out of it. So I will report in future episodes of how this is going for me. The next thing I want to talk about, which I have talked about before, but it is fall when this is coming to you. So I want to talk about how you rock a conference on social media. So the game of conferences has significantly changed. When I last wrote about this, it was in the golden age of Twitter, where many conferences were using Twitter as a communication tool, as a sharing tool during the conference itself. What we need to still use Twitter, although conferences now are largely doing things on LinkedIn and Instagram, and of course, the dreaded conference app that we all know. But what I want you to do is before you go to a conference, and I know these things are coming up, big meetings with the Chamber of Commerce. Everybody's having their fall meeting. Everybody's going to have an awards ceremony. Everybody's going to have all these things. Be mindful and most importantly, be planful in what you plan to do with your social media. So just don't go get a bunch of selfies and post them on social media. And I know that upsets some of you, but I'm really anti-selfie. I think that they're a waste of time. What we want to do is use the conference to grab the attention of individuals. You want to use it as almost like a lab and a networking springboard for yourself. So before the conference, we're going to post things like, I'm excited to attend. And you could even put in there private messages in your posts. In the apps, you can put even in your groups. So I'm a Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses grad. They're having a conference in the fall, and I've been making sure to make a list from the apps and the WhatsApp group who's attending so that I know, so that I have that body of people that I'm already excited to see, and we're kind of creating a lot of energy around it. During the conference, you can share insights and photos. This is awesome. Do it in your stories. They don't have to be perfect, make them quick. Always tag the speaker. Always a good idea before you go to a conference, by the way, to tag, follow, and message all of the speakers and any conference attendees that you know about. This way, when you go to tag them, you know who they are, you know what their content is about, you know their accounts. And to that end, if you're going to connect with the speakers on, let's say, LinkedIn, which I highly recommend, you're going to want to send them a note and let them know that you're interested in the topic and why. Don't make this up. Don't have ChatGPT write it for you. God forbid, do not automate this. Just authentically speak about why you're excited to see them. And also let the organizers and the speakers and the organization accounts know that you are around and that you are interested in being part of the social media energy that's created around the conference. To that end, you can also see what they posted for the conference last year. So if you're going to the WeBank National Conference next year, you want to look at, okay, what did they post on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and even on Facebook? So what about last year was good? What got a lot of reaction? What did they post, the organization or the speakers? Interact with that content as well. So make it easy for them to find you. Again, you're not just going to spray a bunch of images from the conference. We're going to be planful about this. So again, you're going to want to take pictures during the conference and then tag people when appropriate in the posts stating what you learned. Here's an expert tip for you. During the conference, the game has changed when it comes to business cards. I like to collect business cards. I then go through them, I scan them, I put them in a spreadsheet. It's a whole thing that I have. A lot of companies are cutting back on allowing their employees to have business cards, and it's an expense. It's not green, right? So they're using a lot of different apps, of course, to do this. So you may be tempted to scan their QR code or have them scan your QR code to automatically connect in LinkedIn. That's a dangerous habit because it doesn't give you the opportunity then to use LinkedIn as your CRM system. Here's what I do. So I just don't dump everybody into my actual CRM system. I first connect with people on LinkedIn with a personal note. When you connect with someone on your phone, you don't get the opportunity to write that note. So I connect with them on my laptop and I say, hey, it was great to meet you at XYZ conference. This gives me a reference point. So when they call me in 6 months, I know automatically when I get on that call who they are and where I met them. So they're not giving out cards. You're going to use a lot of systems and scanners. I have a system now where I scan badges, or I will actually scan their profile. I'll take a picture of their profile on LinkedIn. Many times people will scan your LinkedIn profile, and there's a quick way that you can do it that I teach in your social media hour, so that they can scan your image, your profile, and connect automatically. Again, that's great, but you lose the history there. So just make sure that you also have some idea when you go into a conference of how you're going to handle it. So you want to be visible during a conference. You don't want to just stay invisible. You also don't want to spread or spray bad pictures and images and posts around afterwards. Be planful and share great things that happened and how you're building your network, how you're building your business, and how this is all benefiting your clients. Phew. Okay. Last issue, post-separation abuse. Geez, that's a big switch, right? But as we all know, I always include a little bit of education around domestic violence and how it impacts the world. So abuse does not end when a victim escapes and leaves an abuser. This was perhaps one of the most shocking things to me when I escaped domestic violence. I thought, okay, I'm out, done, not going to bother me anymore, no more screaming. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, like, I could not have been any more wrong. I also thought that there would be fairness, that we would just part with a lot of peace because we didn't have a lot of joint assets. Again, wrong, wrong, wrong. When a victim escapes, there's a lot of high-fiving. Everybody is usually very, very excited. Um, Everyone congratulates you, and they spend a tremendous amount of time telling the victim what they really thought of the abuser. "Oh my gosh, he's such a jerk. She's such a jerk. I can't believe how long you stayed. You and the kids are so much better that you're out." And you actually may think it's gonna be all good for the victim, and the truth is that the victim's life takes a very dark turn. The abuser is not usually very excited that the victim is gone, even if the abuser is the one that let go of the victim. So if the victim was the one that was broken up with, the abuser still goes on a whole smear campaign. Something is wrong with her. I can't believe the way he treated me. So first, the victim will certainly receive constant phone calls and text messages. I'm talking like 20 a day. And let's throw emails in there. There is hoovering. So my abuser called, ready for this one, with the plan that we were going to use so that I could come back and live with him part time. I didn't have any say, according to him, in that plan. This was just how I was talked to and directed. There is a tremendous amount of banging on your front door all day and night, at all various times, and including frightening drive-bys, honking of the horn. It's really terrifying. At work, the abuser does one of a number of things. They're going to call the office telling you the victim is not well. My abuser used to love to call my friends and say, "Oh my gosh, I think something's wrong. We had such a great relationship." They show up at the office. My abuser showed up at my office looking for me, seeing where I was. Thank goodness that the individual that owned the little office complex was already very well aware of my situation. They'll do really sneaky things also. So they'll call your benefits department. They'll ask a lot of questions about health insurance, or they'll call their health insurance company, try to get information as well. If she has a new phone, a new address, they will call sneaking around. "Hey, I didn't write it down," or "She forgot to give it to me. Would you mind giving me the new information?" The abuser will actually start to work really closely nearby. They can even move close by. I've heard stories of that happening as well. Um, so all of these things are very concerning. And what we do know is that abuse escalates. So once it starts out at this level, we know that it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. The problem is we really never have any idea what the abuser wants, because they discarded their victim and now it seems like they want them back in and they care. The most important thing you can do is recognize when all hell is breaking loose. So if he is calling 20 times a day, that's abnormal behavior, people. So as the HR department, if you hear that someone is getting a lot of personal phone calls from one person, that's a flag. It's not that the employee can't get their life under control. It's that they have an abuser on their hands. Now, I've talked a lot, and I'll talk about in future sessions, legal abuse. There's harassment from through the courts. So the abuser, they tend to go pro se so that they can represent themselves, and then they just clog up your attorney's time. And when they clog up your attorney's time, they clog your legal bill as well. They'll file insane things about child custody. They'll actually make horrible abuse claims. They'll make a lot of demands. They'll hammer out an agreement like my abuser did and then renege on the whole thing. They'll also cut off access to money. They won't pay bills. They won't pay car insurance, so you can't drive. They color just outside the law. Everything that they do is creepy, and everybody is going to tell you that something is wrong, but they haven't been told to stop. Even if they are told to stop, even if they are told to stop by the police or the courts and your attorney, they don't. And your only recourse is then to spend more money on legal fees. So the solution, especially if you are dealing with this and one of your employees is in this kind of situation, you want to help that employee to have safe space for someone to talk to. And you definitely want to make sure that that employee is documenting everything. So when the employee is out in the parking lot being harassed by her abuser, as we were, that it's not the first time that an employer hears about it. We want to make sure that your employer knows. So she needs support, the victim needs support. And the question is, what is your business going to do about it? So there's a lot of information on my website, jennifergardella.com. There will be information in the show notes, and I'm always happy to talk to you. So please connect with me on LinkedIn to get that done. Okay, so that's it. Like I just said, everything is going to be available for you in the show notes. This is Dr. Jennifer Gardella signing off. It's been my pleasure to share this information with you, and I look forward to chatting next time. Thanks so much.